How are we doing, you wonderful people? My name is Jay, and this is the first episode of Chilling with the Ohmies Podcast. Now, before we get into the video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the little notification bell. That way you guys will receive all the channel notifications and you can keep up to date with the latest videos. But now that's out of the way, let's get into the podcast. And in today's episode, the first episode of this podcast, is something we've been wanting to do for a long, long time. I've got one of the most beautiful women in my life. She's amazing. She's kind-hearted. She's so thoughtless. Yeah.
Thanks.
She's got a lot of thought. She's very kind and caring to other people. She does stuff that I personally couldn't ever do. And it is my first guest, which is my fiance, Nicola Brown. So, hi.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
We've been wanting to do this for so long.
I know.
And we just did not know what podcast to do.
I was just saying, it's weird that you're kind of introducing me because, like, the OG subscribers will obviously know because all of the prank videos.
Like I've been doing this for time.
Well, come on, like even like 2 years ago, like when you were doing prank videos on me.
But
ever
that's
since
true.
you've taken over the whole vaping style content, I'm not in them.
No, that's true.
I've been pushed out.
I think this is why you're the perfect first guest to have because, like you said, a lot of people who have been watching the content for years will know who you are, know a bit about you. But for the new subscribers with 2020, I keep saying this is the year where we bring out more and more content. This is one of the major things we're changing this year. We're doing a weekly podcast, which is vape related. And if I'm being honest, all the research I've done, I don't think there are any vaping podcasts. So I think this is a good opportunity for people like the new subscribers, especially, even the older subscribers that have still met you and things like that, and you don't see as much. I think it'd be really good for them to kind of get to know you a little bit better. I think it'd be really cool. You're a massive part of my life, and a lot of people know that. But for the new subscribers and for just anyone watching the content, it would just be nice to get to know you. So this is a bit strange trying to interview you, but I don't really know where to start. So tell us a bit about yourself. What do you do for a living?
So, it's a long story, I feel like, because I'm training to be a nurse, but I've kind of started from the bottom and I'm working my way up. Whereas a lot of people kind of finish college, go straight into uni, do a standard 3-year nursing course. But going into it that way, they know nothing, basically. They haven't had any care experience, any hospital experience. And I think if I would have done it that way, it would have just been really scary. Like, I think of...
I remember you going for that and the obstacles you had trying to get in there. I won't go into too much detail. It wasn't just college. It was a lot of your personal life as well.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you managed to overcome it and still pursue what you wanted to do.
But yeah, basically, so the plan was to do it that way. And then I think it was at the end of my second year of college, I had to do placements on college. And one of the placements was at the hospital where I work. And they kind of saw my initiative and they said, by the way, there's a healthcare assistant post going out. And a healthcare assistant is basically just a standard carer. Obviously, you can learn a lot and you can do training to basically do as little as the job description requires, or you could basically do more. I'm doing it already.
So before the podcast started, I was saying to Nick, we're just going to have a conversation. Try not to say the too much, because when you record a lot, a lot of you guys won't see the outtakes or the bloopers that I don't put in the videos. If you want to see those, leave a comment. I'll do like one monthly video of all the bloopers. Nick finds them hilarious. I find them very irritating. Yeah. But one thing a lot of people say is they just say all the time. So I was saying, just if you feel yourself saying it a lot, just take a breath, calculate your response, and then say it's fine.
I didn't notice it until I said it like 3 consecutive times in a row. And I was like, okay, I need to stop.
Also, this is the first ever podcast we've ever recorded. So leave a comment down below if you throughout this, if you enjoy it, if you listen on Spotify, I really, really appreciate you. I don't know how this is going to come out in terms of video or audio. You may hear tea slurping, you may hear vapes going off.
I didn't think about that.
I know, I was just taking a slurp of my tea and I think I can hear that, so that must be going through on the mic. So I apologise in advance. But okay, so you found yourself getting into the NHS. We'll come away from that for a sec because that's something I want to speak to you in the next part of the podcast massively. which is one of the reasons why I've got you on. But tell us a bit about yourself. Like, what's your favourite interest? What are you into?
I don't know. I feel like that's quite a hard question because
Okay.
I feel like I'm into a lot of things.
Okay, let me narrow it down then. So, what have you been into recently? What is the thing recently that you've really got into that you're enjoying?
Star Wars.
Yes, I'm so glad that you're into Star Wars now. So, a little bit of backstory. Nick has never been in Star Wars, didn't really understand the hype or the lore or anything to do with it. And it was literally the other night. You were like, do you know what? I just want to watch a film that I've not watched. Pick something. And I was like, okay, well, that could be anything. And you were like, oh, do you want to watch Star Wars? And I was like, yes, I do. So we didn't take the traditional route of 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, then the new ones. I gave Nick the option, and she was like, well, we might as well start from 1 and work our way through. So we've seen all the prequels. We haven't seen 4, 5, and 6. I'm so excited for you to see those. Yeah. And then we can get onto the new ones. And like I said to you the other day, if we do this pretty quickly, we can actually still see Star Wars Episode 9 in the cinemas because it's out now. So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what are you liking about Star Wars at the moment?
I don't know. It's just like a different universe. I don't know. I really I get really invested in certain things. I feel like when you say what are my interests, I find that hard to, I don't know, I kind of find it hard to pinpoint things because I feel like I'm very much a person that
tries a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I try a lot of things. Just because I've gone off of something doesn't mean I don't still like it, for example.
Yeah,
but,
no, of course. I think
I mean?
when you're getting into your 20s, even when you're younger than that, my advice would be, from my experience, would be try as many things as you can.
Yeah.
You need to taste things before you realise what you enjoy doing.
And I feel like I've really done that in the last
100%.
few years. Like I've really just explored different things.
Yeah.
Each opportunity I've had to go out and do something new, I'm like, you know what, let's do it. Even sometimes I have a tendency of like stretching myself too thin, which you always go, stop doing it. You're gonna exhaust yourself. Yeah,
you will, and that's just from experience.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm just one of these persons.
I am one of these persons
that don't want to miss out on things. So
I get it.
I always go,
that's an age thing.
Yeah,
100% is an age thing, and anyone listening or watching will definitely agree with you. I mean, I remember doing it. I was working all the time, but still wanted to play and have fun. And you feel like you're invincible until it gets on top of you, and then it crushes you, and then you need even longer to kind of get ready and back to your actual state.
Yeah.
But I'll totally agree. I think that I'm quite proud of you. You try a lot of things, and you give it a good go, and that way you can at least say that I'm into this, but I haven't got time for it, or I'm not into that. I won't try that anymore. And I think there's a lot of people out there right now, older, younger, similar age, that just don't. They're just stuck doing the same thing. And it is what it is, I suppose. So taken away from the fact that you can't pinpoint what your interests are because you do so many things. How long, obviously, one of the requirements for this podcast is obviously that you vape. So how long have you been vaping for?
So I've been vaping for, I want to say, is it about 2.5 years? I'm trying to think. Longer than that. 3.5 then.
I think it's around 4 years.
I remember it was in October, but I can't remember what year.
I
think it was October 2016, I think.
Okay. And just for context for people listening and watching, how many cigarettes a day were you on? Were you smoking for a long time?
So I was probably only smoking. I was definitely more of a social smoker. I'd probably
the
only
worst
have.
Kind of smoker.
I know.
I
know.
Social smokers.
I'm sorry.
I only smoke when my friends do.
But no, it definitely wasn't one of those things where I'd only have one if someone else was going out for one. I did definitely have a nicotine addiction, and I still think I do.
I'm glad you recognise that, because when we first got together, I was about a pack a day for, I'd say, good 7 years, and I just remember Nick always moaning at me for smoking so much, and it used to confuse me because I'd be like, you smoke too, why don't you get this? Like, do you not have a nicotine addiction? I don't get it. I know that there's different styles of smokers, heavy, light and whatnot, but it just baffled me, because you were like, why are you smoking so much? I'm like, because I'm a smoker, like you.
It's certain things, like, I don't know, like first thing in the morning you'd be like, right, I'm going for a fag, and I'm like, nah,
cup of coffee,
like, I need to wake up first,
I
need to get ready, then, do you know what I mean? Then
okay,
maybe have
so
one.
having your smoking habits, how do you find the switch to vaping? Did you find it easy? Did you find it hard? Was it something that kind of just came naturally, or?
I found it easy for the most part.
Okay.
I remember I had a chest infection. I remember I was smoking away. I had a chest infection.
God, I love one of those.
I know. Felt like I was dying. Felt like I was about to cough up a lung. And we've been speaking about it for a little while. One of our good friends, Tom, had started it, speaking to us about it. So it was like, might do that. I never kind of got round to it. And then I was like, I've got a chest infection. I do not want to be putting a fag in my mouth right now. So I thought, let's try it. And I can't remember, what was my first, do you remember what my first device was?
This is going back. So we had...
You had the Cool Fire, the gold one.
Cool Fire
and
4.
I bought that for you off Amazon. I remember.
You did.
Because
and
you
I remember,
start.
now Tom, I don't want to throw you under the bus, mate. I really don't. But I remember when we first got set up, you were like, oh, just whack a 12 milligram in it. You'll be fine. You smoke the same amount as me. You'll be fine. And I remember coughing my lungs up for like 3 weeks. And I was like, oh, maybe it's just the way it's meant to be until you get used to it. And it wasn't until I actually came into the store. As you can see, we're in a store, Phoenix, which is where I work, which has been a hell of a journey. I remember the guy who originally hired me, Danny, who was here, a good friend of mine. Shout out, Danny, if you're listening. I don't know if you will be or watching. Maybe you are. But I remember him sorting me out the sort of nicotine strength and stuff. But your device, I'm trying to think what you had. I had the Cool Fire 4.
It was a little
but
black something.
Did you have... Oh.
It had like that pointy drip tip. I can't remember what it was though. Do you know what I mean?
What? This is going to bug me. What was your first device?
I don't know.
Because I went straight to
all I
Subo.
remember, I definitely had a mouth to lung device. And all I remember
was it the K3, K2, K3?
Maybe.
I think it was an Aspire K
Yeah.
series. Was it a pen, or was it box mod?
Pretty sure it was a box mod. I think so.
I can't remember what you had.
It wasn't.
Have we still
it
got
wasn't
it?
a pen. No.
You must have it somewhere.
No.
Do you reckon it's at your mum's?
Maybe.
I'm going to go on a mission to try and find it because that's going to bug me.
But yeah, and then I remember, so that was like in the October. I had an awful chest infection. I probably started like a week or so before you. Then you kind of started on one. And I think we were probably having like a cigarette here and there with them, which is obviously normal, for someone who's trying to make the swap.
Some customers I speak to over the years feel guilty coming in and saying, I've had a crafty cigarette here and there. And what I say to every single person is everyone is different. People adjust to it differently. Oh, not on the mic. Don't want to do that too much. People adjust to it differently. For me, I've probably I cut down from 20 a day almost instantly. And I think what it was is more of a mentality shift. It was, I want to quit. I got to a point I was sick and tired of getting chest infection every 3 months.
And it's expensive. Like, it's so expensive.
So when we quit and made the switch, they went like $7 to $7.50 a pack.
Yeah, maybe £8.
They're now like £12 a packet.
I found it...
How insane is that?
A friend reminded me recently that they don't do like pack of 10s anymore. And I was like, what? I completely forgot about that. I know this happened like, a year, 2 years ago or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God.
It's crazy.
But yeah, so for a little while after, I'd just be on the vape kind of thing. And then I'd go out with my friends and it's generally, the thing of alcohol and cigarettes go together. So I definitely would have a few on a night out.
Do you know, that is one thing, being in the industry now, a few years later, people can't give me that excuse anymore. With things like the Caliburn, you've got no excuse.
But you know what?
Back then, I'll give you that. Like, you had a portability issue.
Yeah.
Things were massive. They were bulky and they were heavy. I give you that. Now, no excuse.
But you know what? No, now, like, for example, even recently, I have been on a night out and smoked, and then I'm like, nah. Like, I will literally have like a couple drugs because I think, that's what I want, because I think I associate my going out and drinking alcohol with having a cigarette.
Yeah. No, a lot of people do. A lot of people do, to be fair.
But each time I have recently, I'm like, no, why am I even doing this? Do you know what I mean? It's not even giving me anything. It just tastes like crap. So
yeah, no, I'll give you that. Okay, so that was a bit into your vaping journey.
Yeah.
So do you prefer mouth-to-lung devices or sub-ohm? Because I feel like this opinion, for a lot of vapers, myself included, has changed a lot in the last 2 years.
I agree. Because, I'm pretty sure I started on a mouth-to-lung, which I think was good. I don't know. Now I'm thinking about it.
I'm pretty sure we both went sub-ohm.
Yeah, maybe
I remember our first big upgrade was a Christmas present you got me.
Yeah. I was going to talk about that as well.
We went to visit my dad a few years ago. He recently moved, years ago, he moved to Chroma. He retired early. Very
Feels
lucky
like
man.
recently.
So it does feel like recently, to be fair. Time flies. But when we were up there, we actually found a Smock vape shops. Now, it wasn't like a Smock branded shop. It was like a Smock franchise. One of the first I'd ever seen, to be honest.
But
I've never
what I
seen one
remember,
since.
you had just kind of got into the
Oh,
vaping
the whole
industry, like
industry,
started
it
reading
sucked me
things
in.
online about vaping and everything. And I remember the one thing like you were going on about was
One of the
this
alien kit.
Smock alien kit.
One of the alien kit.
And I was like, oh, what is this? And you showed me pictures online or whatever, and we was talking about buying it. And then it was crazy that was just walking down Cromer, which is very much a town that's kind of like independent
If you
stores
haven't been
and
to Cromer,
everything.
you're not missing out on much. It is a seaside town, and it is literally that. It's where
It's
people
all
go to die.
yeah, it's mainly all independent stores. Obviously,
It's a
there's
lovely
the odd,
place in the
like,
summer.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
but yeah, so
recommend
we
in
were
the
so
winter.
shocked. So we went in there. Your poor dad stood outside for like an hour while we like faffed around juices,
Yeah.
and then we looked at the alien kits and everything. And then I was like, you know what? Because I think it was it cheaper because it was down in Cromer, or
So
they gave us
basically-
this good offer because we got
Yeah, they gave us a
Yeah,
discount.
like-
So because we were getting 2 setups, the chargers, the batteries,
Batteries,
and
yeah.
juice, they did us a really good deal. I'd actually like to go back there and speak to them. But like, I
Yeah,
actually work in the industry now. I
yeah.
have done for years. I think it'd be great. At the time, the Smock Alien kit from where we are in like south east, it's like East Anglia sort of area.
Exactly.
There was like a 6 to 8 week waiting list for the Alien. It swept the
yeah.
whole world by storm.
And it wasn't in any of the shops.
No, it was
near
nowhere. It was
us,
sold out
so-
online. It was in any of the shops. So when we just by chance went in there, because we thought, we can get some juice and coils, we see them open their delivery box. It was almost like it was fake.
Yeah.
Like we went in there,
Yeah,
like,
that's it.
opened
It was-
the delivery box,
yeah.
and it was full to the brim of kit onlys, mod onlys, tank onlys, the whole thing, every colour you could think of at the time. And it was just like, look, I know I ain't got any money right now, but
And then
it's Christmas soon,
and then I was
it's
just
now
like,
or never.
yeah. And then I was like, you know what? This
Best decision we
this
ever
may
made,
as
I
well
think.
be our Christmas present.
Because I
And
honestly,
yeah.
I couldn't have continued with the ISO
Yeah.
5 on top of that Cool Fire 4. It was, for its time, it was a fantastic device, but I outgrew it very quickly.
And I
find
feel
a lot
like
of vapers
they
do.
actually gave us the first bit of advice about nicotine strengths and what was
Yeah.
right for that
Yeah,
tank, and also the difference between
Yeah.
mouth to lung and direct lung as well.
100%. And
I feel like I definitely didn't understand that before getting my alien
no,
kit.
like I said, I spoke to Danny at Phoenix. Tom had introduced me to it because Tom was like, there's a new vape shop in town, and it was really cool to come in here. And that's probably one of the many reasons why I love this place. I feel like I've got an emotional attachment to it.
yeah.
And I'd kind of started picking up a little bit, but nowhere near, obviously, where I am now. But at the time, it was a case of, I still need to learn, but I want to learn about it.
definitely.
It wasn't like it's too much, I can't be bothered. It was
Yeah.
like, I'm invested, you've got me, let's figure it out. And I think you're right. You've got, in my opinion, you've got 2 types of vape shops. You've got vape shops that want to take your money, and then you've got vape shops that want to give you the right advice.
Yeah, and
and it's
help.
so hard to find the right vape shop for you. But yeah, okay.
But yeah, and I just remember tasting
Oh, the
like
flavour
the
difference.
first taste
Oh
that
my
we
God.
had was like insane. Like I wish we could go back and taste those exact juices, because I remember
It's mental.
I got was it mango loco? Is that what it's called?
No,
By
I think
El
that's a
Diablo?
monster drink.
Oh yeah, that's it.
El Diablo. That's
El
what it was
Diablo,
called. Yeah.
but it was mango something.
Mango and
Oh no,
pine-
no, passion fruit.
Yes.
Oh, what was it called?
Oh,
Something.
it was El Diablo. 'cause
Yeah,
they
it was
still make
El
juice
Diablo, and it was passion fruit
with
punch.
Did yours have
No,
ice?
definitely didn't
Right,
have ice.
so
I hate ice.
got sold
for
a
one
dream.
thing.
All right, this is the one thing I got sold a dream on. So this guy was like, "Oh, you need to try this juice. It's amazing. It's called Lizard Tears."
Lizard tears.
And I was like,
Oh my
"Yo,
God.
that sounds dope. I'm going to try that." And I smelt it. Didn't try it in the shop. And I was like, "Oh, it smells like
bad.
black currant."
It
I just
wasn't
wasn't
bad
expecting the
until-
ice.
yeah.
This is before ice was a thing. It was just menthol strengths. You either had strong menthol or you didn't. And I filled up my tank, let it prime, and tried it for the first time, and it blew my face off in the middle of winter in a cold Cromer night.
But it was
it
it literally
tastes like
tasted
soothers.
like black currant soothers.
Oh, blew my head
It
off.
wasn't bad,
And
but
that's the day, the weekend that I got Wick Liquor
Carnival.
and I
Oh
was
my
addicted to
gosh,
that
yeah,
for so much. I can't
Carnival.
even sniff it anymore. It's just so
You vaped so much for
oh,
that.
buckets of it.
I loved. And do you remember? I'd go online and try. And I think that only the El Diablo, whatever it is, site would do the Oh no, what was it? Passion fruit something.
Was it Passion Bomb?
Passion Bomb.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
Passion Bomb.
Passion Bomb. And I still love that juice. I still do. But yeah, and then it was just like direct lung was the thing kind of thing. And that definitely satisfied me. And I remember we were on 6 milligrams and then we very shortly went down to 3. But then
we dropped down quite quickly.
Yeah, but then I feel like, I'm not so much anymore for direct lung, but I feel for a long time I was stuck on that 3 and I was kind of worried to go down to a 0 because I was thinking I'm just going to need nicotine kind of thing.
Some sort of nicotine.
Yeah. And then I didn't really ever think about going back to mouth to lung until kind of like Nic salts kind of came in.
Oh, Nic salts were a game changer.
And that was only like last year. Like only up until the start of last year, I never really went back to a mouth to lung because I didn't think I needed it. And then and I've now got this nice balance of having a 0 milligram in my direct lung and it depends. Sometimes I will get PG juice, put a 6 for my caliber, for my mouth to lung, and then other times I'll have Nic salts, but sometimes they make me a bit wavy.
Wavy? What is that? Bit wavy.
Bit wavy. Because it's just such a... But
yeah, I think Nic salts are such a good invention.
I think I am quite nicotine sensitive though, because
100%.
Like when I used to have a cigarette, first cigarette of the day, my head would be a bit fuzzy. Do you know what I mean?
I'll be brutally honest with you. I think a lot of people were. I was, and I liked the rush. First thing, that's why I used to say have a cup of coffee and a cigarette in the garden, or wherever I was first thing in the morning. And that first pull, you're like, whoa. But that rush is what I was after every day.
Yeah.
There's certain times like people have, first thing in the morning, after dinner, when they're on a night out, all sorts. But they're habituary cigarettes, and I feel like everyone has their own. So, yeah.
For me, it was always after a meal.
Yes.
There's nothing, and even to this day with vaping, as soon as I've eaten something, I need to have a vape to feel satisfied. It's weird. It's like a... Yeah,
I know. It kind of like for me, like I said to you before, when we first really started getting into it, I really like the desserts. It was for me. I'm a seasonal dessert vapor. When it's colder, I like to vape desserts because I feel like when it's warm, I want that menthol, that ice. It's refreshing. But in the winter, when we started, I was massively into my desserts.
For so long, I just didn't like desserts.
But
I was more of this fruity person.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
I'd have a strawberry cheesecake, but it would stop me eating a strawberry cheesecake.
I'm actually vaping a dessert. Wait a minute.
You feeling all right?
Yeah, I know.
Oh. One last question.
Yeah.
One last question to end this section of the podcast, and that is, do you think vaping has changed you for the better or not made a difference?
Oh, 100%. It has 100% changed me for the better. Like, it's not just... I feel like when you're a smoker, you don't realise a couple of things, like how much it stinks, for example.
Oh, honestly.
Or how much... Like your taste buds as well. That's something I really, really noticed a difference in. When I stopped smoking, that I can actually taste things better.
I actually started liking things I never liked as a kid or things as a teen when I was smoking I didn't like. I now like a lot more things because I got my taste buds back. Yeah. And then they say your palate changes every decade anyway. But as I got older, I was just trying new things. Like I started liking vegetables and I was like, what? I must be an adult. I like vegetables and things like that. Whereas when I used to smoke, you don't realise how much it numbs your taste buds. And and like I said, for me, the number one reason why I prefer vaping is because I don't get chest infections every 3 months on the dot.
Oh my! I literally have not had a chest infection since.
Yeah.
But I'll have obviously the standard viral cold or whatever, but...
Yeah, but that's nothing to do with
No, that's nothing to do with vaping.
Just out and about.
That's a viral
perks of your job and being around people that are ill and stuff.
Yeah. He always blames me whenever he gets ill because he thinks that I've
bringing
given it
home
to him.
AIDS.
Even though he's probably, communicated with however many people.
No, I'm not having it.
But he blames me, even though I'm not ill.
Okay, so before we have a domestic on this podcast, that ends the first part of this podcast. We're just going to go away for 2 minutes, reconfigure, and the next part is a really, really important part. One of the main reasons I got Nick on this podcast is so we can talk about the NHS views on vaping. I hope you've enjoyed so far. If you have, make sure to leave a like, comment below, subscribe if you haven't, and we'll be back in 2 seconds. Sorry about that short break. We are now back for the second part. I don't have a name for this part. It's just kind of like...
This is like the topic part, basically. The topic of the podcast part.
The podcast main topic time. And today, for the first episode, I thought it would be really good to talk about the NHS's... The nurse, as LEG would say. The NHS's approach to vaping, whether they support it, and actually speaking to someone on the front line who does work for the NHS on a daily basis, be interested to see their views on vaping, how they support it, how, are they advising people to switch, or are they just completely ignoring it? Because with everything going on in America right now, it's a really scary state for vaping as an industry.
I know.
But what I've always said in my videos to you guys and to everyone I speak to, customers as well, Britain or England is the vaping capital of the world. We are so pro-vape. And with all the research we've done with Public Health England and the NHS, no one's talking about it. So is there anything at work when you're well, firstly, we can kind of recap from what you mentioned earlier about what you do. You can go a bit more in detail about what you're actually doing and what you see on the front line. Because I'll be honest with you, I could not do what you do. I respect anyone in what I call the blue light service. So fire engines, policemen, ambulance service, people working in NHS. I could not do that. So first of all, massive respect.
Oh, thanks.
But yeah, what is it you do? Like, go into a bit more detail. What is your job?
So going back to what I was saying earlier, so when I done that placement from college on this ward, it's actually an orthopaedic trauma ward. So that means orthopaedic basically means bones,
Right.
but it's also a musculoskeletal system. So
okay, what is that?
So that's your system that includes your skeleton, your muscles, your tendons. So, for example, the majority of the injuries that come in are broken bones. But like, for example, yesterday we had a guy that was using a circular saw and sliced half of his leg open.
Wait. Before you go into this, can you talk about this? Have you got like patient confidentiality?
Yeah, as long as I don't say any names, any dates of birth, anything like that, I can speak about anything I want.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So a guy cut his leg off?
No, he didn't cut it off. I don't even think it went to the bone, but a doctor showed me a picture, and it was because by the time he came up to us, it's all wrapped up kind of thing. But yeah, he has what we call a laceration, but laceration can be like anything from like a little cut, and this was a laceration. This was a huge gash in his thigh, basically.
See why I couldn't do your job? Like if I saw that, I would pass out straight up.
He hates blood.
I hate blood. It's meant to be in your body. Okay, if it's outside of your body, something is wrong.
Yeah, there was a lot wrong.
Do you know what I mean? Well, yeah, a circular saw to the thigh doesn't sound like a great idea.
So someone asked, someone who was like on the bank system, which is basically a overtime system. So they're not permanent on any wards. They come and work. So this person wasn't familiar with orthopedics. And I said, well, why are they on your ward when he hasn't got any bone injuries? And I said, because he's got tendons and ligaments and muscle that has been damaged.
Exposed.
And our doctors specialise in
so
reconstructing that.
So you do work with, you specialise in bones, fractures and stuff like that, hip replacements, but you also deal with the muscular side of it as well?
Yes, but then there's a fine level of what we deal with and then what plastic doctors deal with.
Plastic doctors?
Yeah, as in like plastic surgeons.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I needed a bit of context. Just plastic doctors, just plastic figurine doctors just in the corner, like, just send them to the plastics, that'll be fine.
Yeah, that's what we say. Need plastics to get,
so right.
review them.
That just reminds me of Mean Girls. Yeah,
The
just send them to the plastics,
yeah.
Just a bunch of hard-ass doctors.
And there's so much, so stop me if I do speak too much jargon, because
the
amount of times you don't realise that, because it's something you talk about on a daily,
Trust me, dealing with customers and even in this industry, there is a lot of jargon and terminology that I forget myself sometimes. You have to kind of strip it back and break it down. So first off, your job role is to deal with bones and some muscular stuff.
So basically, So started as a healthcare assistant or a HCA, and that's basically the main care aspect of the patient, because that, I honestly think that, like, and a lot of people say, like, we are the foundation, like healthcare assistants are the foundation. Like, I don't know how doctors, like nurses, doctors, any other like speciality could help a patient when they haven't had their basic care needs met first.
Oh, yeah, okay. That makes sense.
So that's basically what a HCA is. And you've got the different bands. So you've got a band 2, which is a HCA, a band 3, which is a healthcare support worker. And that is basically pretty much similar, but you have to have a level 3 qualification. So it means that you're a bit more specialised. You have to have certain competencies done, like knowing how to cannulate, bleed, catheterise, doing an ECG, like various different things. which I technically done my level 3 through college. And what was quite an annoying thing was I when I finished college, had my level 3, I couldn't actually get paid as a band 3 because the hospital didn't recognise it because it wasn't a qualification that they sent me off to do, basically.
Right, okay.
So yeah, that was a bit frustrating. So between training from my band 2 to band 4, I didn't get paid a band 3.
Fair
band
enough.
3 wage, sorry, what was you going to say?
Just quickly, what is before we get into like how the NHS views vaping, one thing I just want to ask you, what is your what's your most favourite aspect of what you do for a living? And also, what is the worst aspect of what you do for a living?
I feel like my favourite aspect has changed over time. Like actually not being a carer anymore. Now, actually, when I go and do care, I miss it. Like, because I still do it on an everyday basis, just not as much.
Right.
So I actually really enjoy doing personal care. Like, I really enjoy making someone feel like they have started their day like they normally would. So someone who can normally get up, have a shower, brush their teeth, get themselves changed, put their normal creams or whatever on. I imagine not being able to do that for 2 weeks. Do you know how?
Yeah, mate, I get antsy if I don't have a shower before I leave the house.
You don't feel yourself. So I really, really like going through that process of someone. Like that's a favourite thing. But I mean, overall, I'd say a favourite thing is learning something new every day. Like every day is interesting. Like I
can
always
imagine
learn
that.
something new.
I mean, you work in a busy hospital.
And when I do learn something big, like it's information.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this woman
knowledge
here
is power.
does like 14-hour shifts, gets up at stupid o'clock in the morning, comes home at stupid o'clock at night. But if she's learned something new or had a good day, like she will not shut up about it until I then get no sleep, which I really rate. I admire that because it shows that even though you're having a long, exhausting day, you're loving what you're doing because you're coming home and you're like, my day was sick.
Yeah.
I learned this and I helped this person, and obviously living with you and being with you through the most, well, if not all of your NHS journey. Like seeing the ups and the downs, like the ups always outweigh the downs. But what would you say is your least favourite or the worst thing about your job, and why?
There definitely are a few kind of thing.
I can imagine, yeah.
And it's not even the things like, I don't know, dealing with certain bodily fluids that you wouldn't want to be dealing with. Stuff like that honestly doesn't bother me anymore.
Gosh.
Yeah. It's actually more...
I suppose you get desensitized.
And don't get me wrong, like, obviously there's the obvious of watching people... Like your job is to care for someone and to make them better, and sometimes no matter what you do, that doesn't happen. So
medicine can only go so far.
Yeah, so you watch someone deteriorate, and unfortunately, sometimes you watch people pass away. So that is obviously
that must be hard.
A horrible part of the job.
I honestly couldn't do that. I've had to do that with someone close to me, and it tears you apart. So I couldn't imagine doing that on a day to day. Even though they're people you may not necessarily know, like the ins and outs of, you get to know them by
you'd be surprised how much you get to know them.
Yeah, of course.
Like that's kind of like the difference between working on a ward and working in A&E as well. Because I mean, when I do kind of overtime shifts in A&E, I enjoy that. But then I know that person for like a few hours, if that.
Yeah,
sometimes,
of course. And then they're off to the next person.
And then they're off. Whereas I may, like for example, some patients have been on the ward for months, like months and months and months, and you really get to know that person.
They must forget how to walk. I could be laid down that long.
They don't lay down that long. You have a lot of pressure.
Don't spoil this for me. I thought you just got like a month's worth of sleep.
No, that's what you would want to do.
I would love that. So yeah, in terms of the NHS supporting vaping, is there anything that you feel like the general public or just people in general, vapers in general, don't know what the NHS are doing, or is there anything they do that shows that they're backing vaping as? And I mean this not if you don't do either to start vaping. We've never advocated for that. I never will. As a safer alternative to cigarettes. Because one of the main articles I read, I think it's about 5 or 6 months ago now, I think it's either eSig1 or eSig Wizard, I'm pretty sure it's eSig Wizard, just secured a multi-manual, game-changing contract to open vape stores inside NHS hospitals.
Which is
mental.
Which is crazy.
And fair play to you guys for getting that contract.
But something there...
That's insane.
Something there I see is a bit like... ooh kind of thing is that you are not allowed to vape. Obviously, you're not allowed to smoke in a hospital. You're not allowed to vape in a hospital either.
So just quick with that, I only believe that. And I totally agree. I don't think you should be able to vape on wards. It's just meant to be a sanitary place. And I think it's absolutely crazy. If you go back 20 years, 30 years, you could smoke on a
hospital.
ward. Like, that's
I think that's
mental.
crazy. I mean, like in all of the ward, well, I mean, in the hospital now, in most hospitals, like oxygen is built into the walls.
Yeah, that's like pure
So,
oxygen.
Exactly.
So that ignites,
if
bang.
someone, I mean, there have been times that people will smoke on the ward.
Oh, mate.
Honestly, like sometimes you get like an old confused lady who will just whack a fag out of a purse kind of thing and start smoking, and then it's kind of like, come on, love, like we need to take those away.
It's not the 50s anymore.
Yeah, but then no, you'll get completely
Able people.
Just
like fancy
you're my age, hidden in a side room, be like, oh, you know what, I'll have a quick one, stick my head out the window, they won't know, kind of thing.
The thing is, this is what people don't realise.
You can smell it, like in such a clean environment.
Oh,
you can
it's
smell.
not even that. No,
Yeah,
for someone like myself, or you, or any of you guys that vape, we are called the worst type of smokers because we're ex-smokers. They say we're the worst, and you know, I totally get it because we've been there, we've done it, we've given up. You can smell things so. You're like a dog when it comes to cigarette smoke. I have customers come in here and say that they've tried giving up and they haven't smoked for a week, but I can smell the cigarette down the high street.
Yeah,
I don't think people realise until you actually give up how much it smells. It
stinks,
stains in your clothes, it stains the walls, the teeth, everything. But yeah, so where you work, your hospital, does it have a vaping zone? Because there's been a few hospitals I've been to where I've seen big old banners outside saying, it's
do not smoke here.
Do not smoke, but you can vape in designated areas.
Yeah, so
and I really like that. That's really cool.
So vaping, so as long as you're outside of the building, like you can vape. But there, for smoking wise, there is a big red, just like you've got like yellow lines on a road. There's a big red line around the entire perimeter of the hospital grounds.
And that red line means you can't smoke within them red lines.
Oh, but don't worry, everyone does because
of course I do. Do they have people that
like there is the entrance that is right near my ward? There's a massive thing. Please respect us, like non-smoking policies. You get people literally underneath that sign smoking.
Oh man, do you have anyone that officiates that? You don't have like ticket wardens. Do you have people that go around and be like, look, you can't smoke there?
There was, but I haven't seen many recently. And you know what else really bugs me as well? And I will definitely say something if I see someone there, because not only is that a big like middle finger, also right outside that sign is a children's ward.
Yeah, that's not nice.
Like, and if those windows are open,
if you saw someone vaping there, would you still say something? Because me personally, I probably would.
I mean, personally for myself, like I still go outside of the smoking area.
Yeah, so my natural...
And I'll tell you why as well.
My natural reaction is whenever I go anywhere that I'm not familiar with, where I know I can vape, so say I go to a hospital, I will hunt out a smoking area. Like I said, there's a couple of hospitals, I don't go very often, I'm not a frequent hospital visitor, I try not to be, you know. In my opinion, if you're in the hospital, something's wrong, so I want to stay alive as long as possible, live forever and all that. So if I do go to a place, like when I went to, I think it was Colchester's, where I saw them big banners, there was designated vape areas on the floor. Yeah. But the first thing I did, like as a reaction, was go and find a smoking area, because in the UK they tie vape laws with smoking laws, which is perfectly fine. You know, we need some sort of regulation. But then when I start seeing vape zones, I'm like, yo, this is awesome.
Yeah, so we haven't got vape zones, but But
you're allowed to vape on the premises, and they advocate for that.
Yeah, well,
that's good.
I've seen people being told off for smoking, but not vaping in the smoke area.
That's good.
But yeah, so I normally try to go outside of those zones, because also it's out of the view of the public where it is.
I suppose when you're working, it's a bit different.
It's not because... So I wouldn't want to see one of my patients.
No, I get that, but I couldn't. I remember you saying this before. Obviously, you won't throw anyone under the bus, no one in specific, but you've seen doctors or nurses tell people to their face that they should quit smoking because it's bad for their health, and then they go outside and light up a cigarette. Like, I personally think that is so hypocritical that there's someone who's in medicine, they're practicing medicine, and they can't take their own advice. So why should I take their advice? They can't even follow themselves, which you may see as a very linear, very childish mentality, but the principle is the same.
No, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
No.
So I kind of get that you want to be out of the way of like public and things like that while you're at work. That makes sense. And even though I think that vaping is a bit more socially acceptable now, which I think is great.
We have to cover up our uniform as well if we go out and stuff.
Sterile environment. So
but
I know
also,
it's only water vapor.
that is a rule that has obviously came from smoking, but that's something I still respect as a vapor.
Exactly. So one thing I wanted to talk about is Stoptober is a huge, huge month in this industry. It's one of the biggest months every year, because that 1 month is where we really try and advocate people to stop smoking. Well, stopping smoking, full stop, and vaping essentially is the end goal. But I find that there's so much you can enjoy within this industry that a lot of people use vaping to switch because the success rates from, nicotine patches, chewing gums, anything like that, one, they taste horrible, and two, they just don't work. It's too much nicotine in them. And moving across to vapes, the success rate is so much higher because it's still having that familiar habit of putting something in your mouth and having that same sensation. Do you see anything, maybe not just where you work, but in that environment, in that industry, where they still promote Stoptober?
I do. With actually vaping, though, something I will add, like, I think it is. I remember, I think the first time I actually saw something NHS vaping related was actually on the TV. I remember seeing an advert.
Yes.
NHS advert promoting the switch to
when I saw
vaping or e-cigarettes.
That wasn't this year gone. It was the year before, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys in the comments can let me know what year it was. I'm pretty sure it was 2 years ago now. When I saw that, being in the industry, that was like Christmas.
Yeah.
It was like hot.
I was like, oh my God. Like, it felt like, oh my God, this has happened.
Yeah,
like this has actually happened. And then there were posters around the hospital about it. But
have you ever overheard a doctor or been in a room with a doctor where they've advised vaping if they currently smoke?
I have. I've heard them advise to switch. I have heard them advise to switch. However, I think because of the nature of my ward, it's not something that they
You're around all the time.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
For example, people who smoke. So let's just say someone is bedbound because they have injured their leg. Let's just say they can't walk, they can't go out for a fag, and they're a smoker. The main thing someone does ask first of all is like, do you want a nicotine patch prescribed? Because,
oh wow, okay.
Because people can't vape in the hospital.
I
think
get that,
if that was different.
Okay, so would you allow vaping in certain areas of inside the hospital?
I mean, I don't see why it would be an issue.
So
I mean,
in this country,
I don't know whether, because obviously I know what is in, e-liquid. Like I don't know, does that infect the sterility of an environment?
It shouldn't really.
Do you know what I mean? Like vapor. It's just water vapor. So it's not going to affect the smoke alarms or whatever. But I mean, I've seen individuals, I've seen individuals who have a little vape in their room kind of thing, and I go, you're not really supposed to do that, and they're like, don't do anything, and I'm like, yeah, I know, but
yeah, we're not actually
it's
allowed
one of those things,
to say
you're
you
not
can
really
do that.
allowed to do that. Like in my head, I'm like, oh, it's fine though, but
I'm
like, no, because I need to try and be that professional to say, no, you shouldn't be vaping at all.
I'm glad that you do.
Yeah,
even though you agree with what they're doing.
Yeah, it's that hard kind of, yeah.
So, do you think if they did allow vaping inside hospitals that smokers would kick off? Because I believe in this country they would. I think that they feel like they have a right.
Why can't I smoke if you can vape kind of thing?
Yeah, because I do think like...
And I think that's probably one of the main reasons why it's not allowed.
And it's also why I think, not just myself, but a lot of customers, a lot of other friends and family that vape that I know of, they agree with tying it with smoking laws because, like I said before, we need some sort of regulations. Yeah. I'm glad we've got them. Mm-hmm. With everything going on in the US right now, we are in such a good place. And I think, like, because we have these regulations, nothing like that would ever happen to us. We've already gone one step ahead. Like, one thing I'm really hoping will happen is with the Phoenix company, there's another branch or another part of the company called EL Science. They're so far ahead of the TPD and they make some of the cleanest e-liquids on the planet, but no one's talking about it. And I'm really hoping having toxicology data like we do have, risk assessments that we do have on these e-liquids, everything you see on the shelf is so far ahead of the TPD. When you've got facts and figures like that to go with the National Health Service, unbeatable power. Yeah. Like it really is. Now, one thing I will say is I don't want this just to be a massive plug for the shop. It never will be, but one thing I will say is Public Health England have worked very close with us and they agree with what we've got so far. Yeah. And that is a huge step forward. And the NHS have shown that they, get involved with that research. Provide's massive. Yeah. Provide is huge in the southeast. That is, if you guys that don't know, Provide basically subcontract off of the NHS and is a stop smoking service. I'm a qualified stop smoking practitioner through those guys. And that is it's like a help you switch scheme through the NHS, which is a massive thing. Yet again, why I wanted to get someone like yourself on to talk about it, because no one talks about it.
Yeah.
And we should be.
I agree. So there's smoke clinics in the hospital as well, and not only in the hospital, in GP surgeries. I'd love to kind of be a fly on the wall in one of those, or even work a shift there, just to kind of observe how they do incorporate vaping into stop smoking kind of thing. Because like I say, as an inpatient ward, where it's like a now and then nicotine relief, they normally offer nicotine patches.
I think it's really good though. At least they're giving something, knowing that they can't vape inside the hospital and they are still addicted to nicotine. Because essentially, this is what a lot of people don't realise is, I understand that vaping has this facade from the outside. If you don't smoke, you don't vape, they have the whole "we get it, you vape" memes. And I'm all for them. I get it, I understand it. But when you actually smoke or you're addicted to nicotine, vaping is a nicotine replacement therapy, essentially. You're just, rather than having chewing gum, rather than having the mouth spray, which, by the way, I would not recommend. It honestly tastes so bad. Vaping is the nicest, it's the easiest, it's the... once you're set up in the right way, like I said, finding a right vape shop is going to sit there and talk you through it all properly and make you understand, or help you understand, which is something I've been trying to do on the channel with some of the videos. So one of my old videos, which was what's the difference between mouth to lung vaping and direct lung vaping, in the last few days, it picked up like 500 views because people are now searching it in January that want to give up smoking. And I want to be able to provide value. But having the NHS having like that sort of service, at least they're doing something. And I think what you said with, you know, because you can't vape inside the hospital, that's probably their only option. Now, what I'm hoping is with this massive contract with, I think it's eSig Wizard, opening vape stores inside hospitals, that is game-changing stuff. Not only for them as a company, but the whole image of vaping, that the National Health Service is going, this is better for you. It's 95% safer as an alternative to smoking, as you know, based on their research, cancer research, and Public Health England's research, that they finally start doing something about it. I understand the NHS has had a lot of cuts from a lot of different aspects in terms of staffing, medical care, resources, things like that. I get that. But I think having an opportunity to really push into that like non-smoking or switching side would be great. It's an astronomical amount of people die every year from smoking. It's crazy.
I do think it is crazy how much vaping has evolved, as in the sense of how well it is known now. Because insane. I think of back being a vapor when I first started vaping, and a lot of people were like, what is this kind of thing? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. It was difficult. We were one of those.
It was difficult in a sense of, I feel like I need to explain to everyone why I'm doing this, but I didn't mind it because then I was educating someone else on why vaping is better
this is
going
to sound controversial.
And then the amount of people, I mean, I feel like it is controversial because there's still a lot of people that are like, oh, anything you put into your body must be harmful.
100%. And I totally agree with that.
And I agree with that. I agree.
If you don't do either, don't do any of them.
Yeah.
But one is definitely safer than the other.
Yeah.
Long term, short term. Like, just in a nutshell, it is. And to see places like America have such a huge vaping market being a victim of this US flavor bans and certain states banning devices altogether, all off the back of some like media spinning and articles that have been misinterpreted. It's just ridiculous.
What I find so funny is when you look at those articles, like they're not from trusted sites.
Man dies from vaping.
Yeah, like they're not from trusted sites.
But he was vaping illicit THC substance.
Like, someone in the hospital's got a whiteboard that says vaping has done this to me. Like, you know, why would you do that?
Like, vaping dodgy THC
but
products.
You would read, like, you'd actually read the article. A lot of people, the amount of people, when all of this came out, they'd read the title.
Yeah,
it'd
clickbait stuff, innit?
Yeah, it'd literally just be, oh, vaping killed this person. Oh, vaping gave me this lung condition, whatever.
You see
You read the article. When you actually read it, it didn't actually say vaping has caused this. It says, I also vape. So you could have just picked up any condition from any virus or bacteria or anything like that,
but because you vaped at the same time.
It's like saying, I don't know, I put my shoes on this morning and I broke my foot because of these shoes.
Oh, must soon.
Do you know what I mean?
They
like
make bad shoes.
Just because of a habit that you do or anything that you do, that isn't the reason for you developing a condition or. Do you know what I mean?
No, 100%. Have you seen the new article
silly.
that come out in this country?
No.
So off the back of the US stuff, nothing like the UK industry, like vaping industry, took a massive hit. Not as much as a lot of people were expecting, which I'm so grateful for because I'm guessing that the UK population are like, well, no, we're so behind vaping that you know, when you actually start reading between it, it's not traditional free-based nicotine products. It's all illicit THC substances. And I'm glad that we managed to find out very quickly. It's just America's like, no, I refuse to believe facts. This is exactly what it is.
It's just people that don't actually look into things.
Of course
That's
it's
the
not.
thing.
Because
they just think,
I've
read it on the internet.
It must be true. It must be true. And that's the whole point of a clickbait title. It's so in your face. The whole point is to sum it up in a headline without making you need to read it. And that they've just done their job well.
And then people then feed off of that. Like, I honestly think, let's just say, I got a lung condition tomorrow and I've seen, this person dies from vaping because of this lung condition. I'll be like, I vape as well. I'm gonna make a big campaign now. I'm gonna do this big status because
the
vaping.
The latest story I saw was honestly, like, I don't care what you guys think of this, but for me it was so pathetic because it was in the UK, which surprised me. A guy went on BBC News, like the morning programs or whatever. Young kid, recently turned 18, and he was saying how vaping had nearly killed him because it was doing something to his lungs and all this sort of stuff. And it was a bit like, okay, well, I need to know a bit more about this. They're not actually giving any specific reasons. Turns out the guy's allergic to PG.
Oh yeah,
or propylene glycol, which is one of the main ingredients in e-liquid. And from all the knowledge I have, in this country, there is a 1 in 10,000 chance of a person being allergic to PG. So not only, it wasn't vaping that killed him, it was his allergy that nearly killed him. And the other thing that really wound me up is this was 2 years ago when he was underage and shouldn't have been vaping anyway. So there is so much wrong with this. And they're like, but it's vaping though. Well, we should be addressing how he got hold of a vape underage. That's what we should be addressing. And if he's allergic, like, one, he shouldn't get the vape. And two, if he was, the person that was setting him up, I mean, I say this, I'm trying to think of, honestly, out of 10 times, how many times I ask if they've got an allergy to PG because it's so rare. But usually you'd flare up maybe a little bit. You probably get a bit more of a harsher cough. You might come out and like spots and things, but it's nothing. You might get a bit itchy.
Everyone gets an allergy a different
way. No
way.
one nearly dies. Do you know what I mean? But when I saw that, I was like, wow, you are literally trying to get off the back of this.
It's literally like saying, peanuts killed me.
But I ate a pack of peanuts.
No. Peanuts killed me, but I've got a peanut allergy.
Exactly.
Like,
it's
obviously,
so dumb.
because you're allergic to that
so dumb.
substance or whatever. Like, no, it's really stupid.
Yeah. Well, this is where we're going to take another little break. We have one last section of the show, which is called Sherlock Holmes. I am going to put on a hat with my magnifying glass, and I am going to talk to Nick about a topic in the industry that isn't really being spoke about. So bear with us just one moment, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to the last section of the show. I'm wearing a silly hat. I have my magnifying glass at the ready, and I've also got my pipe. This is the Sherlock Ohms.
Nice play on words then.
Now, exactly, nice play on words. Ohms is, part of it. I am actually going to work on getting myself a pipe vape. I just couldn't find one because the Smart Guardian was what I was going for. Could I buy one? No, couldn't get one anywhere. So this will have to do. Well, shout out to my sister for buying this for a Christmas present. Mad love, thank you. Now, every show has to have something that is very gimmicky. And in this, what I wanted to do weekly was speak to my guest about something in the industry that isn't being spoke about, which I think that we should be talking about. And this week, on the first episode, we're going to be talking about ceramic coils. So do you know anything about ceramic coils before we start?
Not really. No.
Excellent. Right, so ceramic coil, for those of you who aren't watching this and are listening on Spotify, I'm wearing a deer hunter hat with a pipe and magnifying glass. So I may sound weird from time to time. It's just because I've got a pipe in my mouth.
I recommend someone actually watch this on YouTube just to see this at least once.
Exactly. If you are still watching this podcast, make sure you leave a like and comment below that you've seen Sherlock, because you guys are the real OGs and real MVPs, trust me. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I just hope it's actually... I've really enjoyed this so far.
I feel like people should comment like with a monocle, like that monocle emoji kind of thing.
If you,
do you know what I mean?
If you do that, then you're a legend. So in this section, you are Dr. Watt, all right? Not Watson, But Dr. What? You see what I did there?
Okay.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
like, what?
Charlotte Holmes? Exactly.
I like that.
So we're talking about ceramic coils. Now, ceramic coils, in my personal opinion, should not be made anymore at this stage of vaping. I think we've evolved so much, we shouldn't be doing it. Originally, ceramic coils were obviously made from ceramic. They will heat up very quickly. They cool down very quickly. You need less cotton. It absorbs e-liquid a lot better, and typically the flavor is a bit better. So they were like, oh, well, we'll just start making ceramic coils.
Okay.
The problem with that is if you heat up ceramic very quickly and it cools down very quickly, what do you think happens with ceramic?
It breaks.
Exactly. So it breaks. Now, if ceramic breaks at a high wattage, which will cause that. If you vape, say you're vaping a coil at around 80 to 100 watts ceramic,
Yeah.
that is enough heat of it fluctuating from hot to cold for it to splinter on the inside without you knowing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're inhaling ceramic dust, which guess what that leads to? Death.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh,
So it will
fuck.
kill you.
I was
Now,
thinking, do I just
must say,
chuck out some lung conditions? Like,
I mean,
death.
Yeah, death. Now, I must say that we do not do ceramic coils of that high wattage anymore, and I have to make this very, very clear. So this was brought up to a lot of companies a few years ago. They have addressed it immediately. A lot of companies completely got rid of their ceramic coils just to be on the safe side. This isn't something that's ongoing. However, there are still some companies that create ceramic coils at very, very low wattage. Because what they were saying is, based on the study, is it only happens at high wattage. So it happens at low wattage. It's not getting hot enough to splinter and break. We all know how fragile ceramic is. Now, I know you knock your vape over a lot.
Yeah.
So if you even had a 15-watt vape in a ceramic core and you're knocking that over all the time, it's left out in the car, it's getting hot and cold, the same things are going to happen.
Do you know what else I do a lot? And not like this was with my old vape. I don't know whether it was just. I feel like
Can't take me seriously, can you?
like on my old nunchaku mod, the buttons are so easily pressed. So
Yeah, so you could always ramp it up.
The amount of times I'd be driving, I'd just have it in my lap kind of thing, and then I'd go to take a lug of it, and it'd be on 80 watts when it should be on 50, and I didn't even realise because it's done that. So
imagine doing that with a ceramic core.
Exactly.
So like I said, a lot of these issues have been addressed, but with my monocule, I will read an article which is on my phone. UL are one of the only companies that do not do a ceramic coil, and they've also released a paper as to why.
Oh.
So we've got the truth behind science behind ceramic coils. So this is what the article says. It says, customers have asked why UL doesn't make ceramic coils, since the ceramic coil has a longer life compared to the Crown 2 coil, and some ceramic coils even have better taste. The article followed contained some researches and analysis. I can't say the word. What's the word?
Analysis? No.
Analyze. That's the one.
Analyze.
Analyze of
What?
Analysis. That's
Analysis.
it. We'll get there in the end. An analysis of how ceramic coils affect vapors' health, and it may help you answer the question. UL realizes the short life of the Crown 2 coil when we're developing coils to taste better and last longer. I'm going to be honest, UL, I love you. You're one of my favorite companies, but no one is waiting on them Crown 2 coils. Every vapor just imagines the Crown 2 never existed. Okay, just let it go. But right, so in this article, they present 3 different types of coil and the effects of them. So for number 1 style of ceramic coil, there's a layer of cotton between the ceramic and the coil. The design is lower in strength and makes the ceramic fragile. For example, the ceramic coil breaks apart when pinched, and tiny powders will fall off and stick into the cotton. It is also hard to distinguish the cotton and the ceramic material since they are both white. So even if you knew, if you are broken and you're trying to pick it out, which you wouldn't, do you know what I mean? Because you have to take a coil apart completely. You still wouldn't even know. In the case of 2 and 3, the ceramic material and the coil are heated up together and made into one piece. However, the melting point of the coil is lower than the ceramic material, so this causes the surface of the coils to be loose and porous. This makes the coil have low durability, it's fragile, and has powders falling off. Now, even just reading that scares me.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Something that you know that the amount of times a day you're going to be inhaling.
We're just picking it
from
up
that.
and putting it down. If they're saying it's fragile just from it being loose anyway, straight out of the box when you buy it
I
from
just
the
find
shop.
that so strange
It's
that, I mean, I understand the science behind it. I just think, why would they think to create ceramic coils, like using a material such as
it's
ceramic?
porous,
Like
it tastes better, it lasts longer. So that's what, and I will vouch for the industry here. They were trying to innovate. So they try to think of what can we do from normal spring coils before. This is before mesh. And I'm so glad mesh has taken over. It lasts longer, it tastes better, it heats up evenly, things like that. And I think every company has a mesh coil now, which is fantastic. But they were trying to innovate. They were trying to do something new, and I appreciate that. But I feel like even though with this science, some companies just went, yeah, we'll just release them anyway. No one will know. If they die, no problem. And you shouldn't do that. Like,
that's a bit of a
now I must
ASMR
say as well,
for the
yeah, for the
podcast.
ASMR lovers. Now I must say as well, as far as I am aware, all right, I don't know if anyone's died from ceramic coil usage. I'm going to say no because there's no reported deaths of vaping traditional products that are regulated. Okay, before you come at me with the flavour death ban in America, man, get in the bin. All right. From what I know with ceramic coils, there have been no recorded deaths, so it's not as scary as they're trying to make out, but they're just telling you the science of it as to why this company specifically do not make them. Figure 2 shows particle in the end surface of the micro-infrastructure of 1, 2, and 3. So I'll put these pictures on the screen. Essentially, what they've done is they've got a massive macro lens, and they're looking at the fibers. So I'll put them on the screen for you now so you can see them. Yeah, of course. So they're just enhanced on them. I still need to read from the top, but you can read it if you want. So it's just enhanced images of the inside of a ceramic coil.
Right, okay.
So you can kind of get a gist of how they're laid out. All 3 ceramic coils appear translucent with the glass-like exterior. Visible light can be reflected and shattered by pores inside the ceramic material. This is what makes the translucent surface. The ceramic coil is made from a silica similar to glass. Therefore, the ceramic coil appears to be glass-like surface. Many impurities can be seen at a magnification of 100 times from a microscope, and they appear as black spots. The glass-like particles are not uniform and appear to be uneven and chaotic. One thing I can promise is my reading will get better. Okay? It will get better per episode. I can guarantee that.
I'm glad you're doing it, though, because I cannot read out loud.
I failed school, can you tell?
Failed school.
The tiny glass pieces have sharp surfaces that can scratch the... Oh, that's a medical word. You'll know that. The trachea?
Yeah, the trachea.
There we go, smashed it. The trachea and alveoli when used.
So the trachea is the tube.
This is what I got you on.
To the in the throat that kind of goes to your bronchioles, which break down into your lungs, and then the alveoli basically they look
air
like
pockets.
They basically imagine like little grapes. So little branches, and you've got little grapes that go into your lungs, and the alveoli are the grapes.
Thank you.
There we go.
That's Nick. The black spots could also be unrefined toxic material that could have impurities. Right, this is where it gets interesting. Figure 3 shows particle cross-section surface microstructure of 1, 2, and 3. After breaking the material for the cross-section, we can see glass-like particles with sharp surfaces. The glass-like particles are clearly visible at a magnification of 100 times. So I'll put this image on the screen and I'll show you as well. So that's once I've teared the cotton apart and I really look inside of it. So, I mean, look, you can see all the impurities in there. It's just not nice.
Oh, God.
You can see all like the little dots and stuff.
Yeah.
That's all stuff coming out. It's crazy. Figure 4 shows particle edge surface microinfrastructure of 1, 2, and 3. Some parts have defects and some parts have sharp edges. This comes from 2 steps in making the ceramic coil. In the first step, the friction causes defects and coarse edges when samples are removed from the mold. In the second step, the surface of the ceramic coil is loose from the friction between the ceramic powders and the mold. The loose powders cannot be heated up and molded onto a dense body. The ceramic powders also stick to the surface of the ceramic coil. The process also makes the ceramic powders fall off easily. Yet again, I'll put the picture on the screen and you can have a look at that. More magnified images. Yeah. And you can just kind of see it's just not very well put together. I mean, look at that last one. It looks like, it literally looks like a bit of glass.
Oh my God.
Do you know what I mean? It's crazy.
I'm glad that, like this, I take my hat off for
this
you
is
for
this
doing
is why
this.
I'm doing this every week. There are things in this industry we're not talking about.
I honestly had no clue.
Exactly.
Like even being a,
this is the part
I'd like
of
to say I'm a,
podcast that matters.
yeah, I like to say that I'm a pretty well knowledged vapor. But
hope you're learning something.
I'm learning
Yeah,
something.
good.
I can concur.
I concur with this statement. Figure 5 shows ceramic powders falling off of microstructure. So this is what scares me the most. It's what falling off of the cotton. When the ceramic powder is touched, the powder sticks onto the surface. All these powders are glass-like pieces with sharp edges mentioned above in the optical microscope. Optional. The size of the ceramic powder is distributed between 30 to 120 micrometers, which is too tiny to be seen by the naked eye. So you don't even know this is happening. You cannot see it. It's microscopic.
Yeah.
But look, I'll put this on the screen for you guys, but look at that. That is what's coming off of your coil without you having been able to see it. You can't see that with the human eye.
Oh my God.
That is scary stuff.
That is really scary.
Scary, scary stuff. And then there's some more. Oh, wow. Oh, interesting.
Oh.
Figure 6 shows a microscopic image of the contact segment between the ceramic and coil. Number 1 does not compare with the other since the coil does not come in contact with the ceramic material. Many ceramic powders gather at the position near coil. The first reason is that the coil cannot be easily compressed into a ceramic material, and when the ceramic material is molded, this is because of the cross-section of the coil is circular. The second reason is that the powders are produced after taking the coil off the mold. It is impossible to clean the powders stuck to the inner surface of the ceramic coil. The ceramic powders on the inside of all ceramic coils on the market. And there's one picture here that scares me. It's that. Look at that. That is insane. It looks like crystals.
Oh my God.
Mental. Absolutely mental.
Crazy. That's
We're
so
nearly there.
Scary.
Oh, this one's a lot wordy. Here we go. This is where we get to causing death. So this is where it gets interesting.
Sudden death.
Sudden death. Fatality. Finally, ceramic coils may cause death. Okay. Making the ceramic material. The ceramic coil, it may cause death. The ceramic coil is made from inorganic porous ceramic material. Smash that sentence. There are tiny pores inside the ceramic material that cannot be seen. Pores play an important role in wicking. Do you know what wicking is?
That's when you put the cotton through the coil, right?
Yeah, I'll give you that. In order to produce...
So you wick a...
rebuildable.
Yeah, rebuild.
Yeah, just destroy the sats.
Sorry, headphone users.
Pores play an important role in wicking. In order to produce a porous ceramic material, raw materials such as a silica powder and pore-forming materials like starch and other organic polymers are needed. They are then mixed and put into a mold with high pressure. Samples are obtained with a fixed sharp edge. Samples are obtained with a fixed shape. I don't know where I got sharp from. The samples are put into a furnace and set to a high temperature. Pores are formed while the pore-forming agent combusts and escapes. Okay.
Science.
This kind of pore plays an important role by introducing e-liquid into your vape. However, to make enough pores, the temperature to stick the materials together is lower, which causes low tensile and compressive strength. Yeah, I think that's what it said. You can all laugh at me in the comments, it's fine. The powders that fall off or crack when the ceramic coil is touched or shaken, all the powders can be introduced to the lung by air, which is dangerous. In brackets, the speed of air can reach 223 miles per hour when we are vaping. What? That's
Wait,
as fast as a Bugatti Veyron. So the speed of air can reach 223 miles per hour when we are vaping. So when you're just going...
That's crazy.
That's nearly as fast as a Bugatti Veyron. Right, so it says vaping. Ceramic coils will absorb more e-liquid. E-liquid is vaporized and evaporated when the coil is working. High pressure from the vapor will expand and damage the structure of the porous ceramic material. Loose powders will fall off and go into the lungs. That's so bad, man. And then this one just says, causing death. Silicosis is a form of an occupational lung disease caused by inhalation of crystalline silica dust. Symptoms are inflammation and scarring in the form of nodular lesions in the upper lobes of the lungs. Mad medical stuff here. This is a type of... Oh, you can read that. That's a medical word. It begins with P.
I don't know where you're going. I don't know where you...
That long word that begins with P.
So it's pneumonia... Wait. Pneumonio... Wait.
Pneumoniosis?
So pneumonia. So that's the first part is pneumonia. So it's pneumono... Oh my God, I'm really bad.
Pneumoconiosis?
Yes, that
we'll go with
right.
that. It could be wrong.
Pneumoconiosis. I think
it's that.
That sounds right. Pneumoconiosis.
Silicosis can be complicated by the development of severe scarring. where small nodules gradually merge together, reaching a size of 1 centimeter or greater. Progressive massive fibrosis is association with more severe symptoms and respiratory impairment. Silicosis can also be complicated by other lung diseases such as tuberculosis, non-tuberculosis, mycobacterial infection, and fungal infection. Certain autoimmune diseases and lung cancer, in brackets, scoliosis, Wikipedia Foundation. Mad. Like, I know that was long-winded and it was just me reading stuff and putting things on the thing. It's just so you guys can get context.
Mm-hmm. But that is crazy. I had no clue. And I think that's amazing that UWell, as a company, has gone, you know
Shout
what?
out to UWell, mate.
Let's do this actual study.
Yeah. And
let's do the science.
We're in a stage of vaping where we can't make any more mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
We've made mistakes in the past. We've rectified them. We've moved on. So after knowing this and being sent this, shout out to Dudley as well for sending me this to research. It's really, really interesting. I really do appreciate it because once I was reading through that, I was like, wow. But there's only a few companies I know that make ceramic coils, which I used to sell regularly to a few customers.
Yeah.
I will now be advising them against it. And I'm not saying all ceramic coils are going to kill you. I'm just saying I would much rather reduce the risk by not serving a ceramic coil.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's why UL specifically don't make ceramic coils. And that doesn't speak to any other company. But yeah, I just think that's mad.
That is crazy. That
Wow.
really is.
And that wraps up the podcast. I hope you guys have enjoyed the first episode of Chilling with the Ohmies. I hope you liked that we got Nick, our guest, on. I thank you so much for coming. I really do appreciate it. I've had a real blast, actually filming this.
Fun.
I'm not looking forward to editing this, but I hope you guys enjoy. If you guys are still watching, make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed. If you are still watching, make sure you comment below a timestamp because you guys are the real MVPs, and I really appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe with notifications turned on if you haven't already. If you want to follow my daily life and the behind the scenes of how these videos are created, then make sure you follow my Instagram. I do daily Instagram stories. I'll also put Nick's socials in the description as well. I'll put the research for the UL stuff, part of the Sherlock Holmes part, in the description also, so you guys can check that out for yourself. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that was
end of the first podcast.
Yeah, we should see you guys in the next video. But no, don't shoot your bolt just yet. She wants to do the piece. She loves it. So we'll see you guys in the next video, but we'll also see you guys next Sunday for the next podcast.
Peace.
You happy now?
Yeah.